And hello.
We're here.
We
We've
are
made
here.
it.
We are here, south of France, not much to complain about. Exciting conversation, hopefully, today about audio.
Yeah.
I am Preeti Nadgar. I am Chief Strategy Officer for EssenceMediacom in the US. And I have Frisbie with me today, who leads business development for AdsWizz. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and AdsWizz, please?
Sure. So AdsWizz is a wholly owned subsidiary of SiriusXM, and we are building or have a platform that provides digital audio content and monetization capabilities. So it's a tech platform for digital audio.
Wow.
And yeah, I run the enterprise business team at AdsWizz. It's a super great position, and I've been in digital media for 28 years. Oh, God, I know. And decanned many times, but you know, it's fun every time. And I've been able to really work on a lot of the areas of digital media that are changing, that are new opportunities for advertisers, and we have to figure out together how to unlock them. So it's been a super fun journey in my own career.
Yeah, and then I'm sure looking at all of this work that's been happening in Cannes this year specifically, it's amazing in those many years to see how audio has become richer, more fertile, more data-driven, more insight, more human, more complex, such as a canvas. I mean, isn't that lovely? Any favorites from this year's outdoor crop?
So I knew you were going to ask me that. Because we are a Cannes, and it is a celebration of creative. And the candidates for the audio category came out last night. And I guess,
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I was just blown away that the shortlisted amount of audio ads, that there's 756 audio creatives being featured on the shortlist. I do not think the judges are going to have an easy time figuring out winners. So I wish them luck, but I certainly can't choose a favorite right now.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to sort of this 30% of time that people are spending with audio in general, right? And how much time we are podcasting or listening. I mean, I have 2 teenagers in my household, and all they do is have things running behind the scenes, you know, all the time.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's still only 9% of media spend? That doesn't seem right. How do you close that gap?
Yeah. So, I mean, audio has been underinvested in for a long time. I think the good news is that the great content that podcasters have brought to consumers that has fundamentally changed people's lives. I mean, the new, authentic, diverse, powerful voices that are out there now for consumers to really dive into topics they're passionate about, right? Like a lot of content in media is fairly surface level, but podcast is not that, right? Podcast is these hour-long discussions you can have about any topic that you're interested in the world, right? And I think podcast content and listening has really moved the audio discussion up. I think it's made it more focused from the brands to really understand that there's a great way to really have incremental reach to television, incremental reach to radio, and incremental reach to other types of digital audio now that podcast has really taken off and is a big part of people's lives today. So I think that's a great new trend that's happening, at least from our side. So I run, as I said, AdsWizz enterprise business. And so we are trying to build out this platform for digital audio content and monetization. And at least within our charter, we do fundamentally believe that if we can create an open, independent digital audio platform that's beneficial for both content creators and advertisers, and really focus on great listener experiences that are inclusive of advertising and make buying easier, that will help drive investment into the space.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is I'd love to know more about that. How is, the programmatic advertising evolving within the audio space? You said a lot of things about how you're making buying easier, perhaps creator economy. How are you bringing all that together, especially around the data trends you were talking about earlier?
Yeah. Well, so from an open ecosystem perspective, I think, The great news from a podcast standpoint is I think a lot of value of audio was proved out by direct response advertisers early, right? A lot of direct response spending, billions and billions of dollars went into podcasts and continues to be invested at very high CPM rates. So you almost have like a proof point that like there's something special there, right? These highly engaged audiences,
High
these
attention,
diverse,
high credibility.
it's a great
Absolutely.
environment, right? Like
Yep.
great advertising has to start with great content, right? So you have that foundation. So now how do you get more brands to really start investing? I mean, we are, especially out of the United States, we are a very video-centric buying world, right? You talk about chasing eyeballs. To me, that's very representative, right? You're not chasing ears. And yet you've got people with their earbuds in and personal one-on-one attention that you can grab their attention, right? That's out there. So we are trying to enable lots of ways to support this open ecosystem. One of them is programmatic. So we do offer the ability for all types of audio formats to be bought in a transparent, fully programmatic supported ecosystem. We do that in an IAB certified environment, and then we support third-party measurement tools, third-party brand safety tools. So everything that the buyers need to kind of get to the next level of investment in audio advertising.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit more about, you talked about measurement a little bit.
Yeah.
How are you using tools or partners to sort of ensure brand safety or transparency or accountability? And really what metrics you're using to measure success in that area?
Yeah, so I mean, our vision is to make sure that we support what buyers want.
Yeah.
Right? And buyer A is not the same as buyer B. We know this, right? They have different ways they want to look at success metrics, different ways they want this to fit, right? Whether it's, you know, a marketing mix model that they're trying to modernize for digital, or it's, you know, third-party tracking pixels that they want to try to measure the impact, right? We can support both. And we try to make sure to really work with leading third-party solutions out there for audio. But I also think on the buyer side that the next step in my mind of tools and partnerships that they need to do, I do think on the brand safety side, if we want to scale from buying the top 50 shows to being able to look at content from 20,000 shows, right? Or whatever number you want to pick, there's a lot of great content out there, right? That could be, especially when you think about reaching those diverse audiences, right? They may not be in the top 50, but they may be very popular within that audience, right? So how do you get there? And I think having buyers really figure out what is the brand safety tools and targeting that'll work for me so that they can at scale make sure they have that trust, that transparency, that they know what they're buying, they know what environments they're in, but then they can do that at scale. And I think technology helps with that, but I also think making sure that people kind of have assessed what is that third-party verified solution I want from a brand safety standpoint.
So you talked about technology. I want to dig into two things that seem interesting to me about the work you're doing at AdsWizz. The first is really the product you launched for indie creators and to help them monetize the business. Tell me a little bit more about that. How does that fit into the larger AdsWizz mission?
So we're very excited that we actually launched a new product about a month ago called Simplecast Professional. And this product is for content creators of all sizes, really independent though, you know, indie podcasters to use. It's a single place where they can run their entire business for podcasting, from publishing and distribution and promotion of podcasts to monetization, campaign management tools for direct sales, monetization from a marketplace, or even bringing in third-party demand. It's all in one interface. And this is the product offering that's brought together an acquisition that SiriusXM had made about 3 years ago of Simplecast, which was this publishing set of tools, and AdsWizz, which is an enterprise stack for monetization. So we're bringing those kind of enterprise monetization capabilities to these independent podcasters and making it easy for them, and really unlocking, I think, a lot of value that those creators bring to the ecosystem and to advertisers.
The second piece of technology I wanted to talk about, and I'm sure you're using it in Simplecast as well, is where it can. So I guess the buzzword of the year is AI.
You can't escape it.
So tell me about how you are using AI at AdsWizz and these platforms to be able to make both the consumer and the buyer experience.
I mean, there's so much potential. I think obviously our lives are going to change because of AI, and that means our jobs are going to change in ways that's even smaller at the job level. So our kind of first outward-facing product that is part of our AI suite is geared towards small advertisers.
Okay.
And it really helps them create better creatives. So we're at Cannes, so it's a great topic. Better audio creatives at scale. It's called synthetic voice ads, and it really enables them to leverage synthetic voices, look at multiple voices, kind of optimize around that, but also make it much easier. You're not going to a studio and editing. You can just make your script rereads or your editing process very simple in that. And so it's really helped to deliver, I think, stronger creatives for these small advertisers at scale for them. And so that's our kind of first foray of having a real product offering around AI.
How about on the buyer side, or in terms of efficiency and measurement, et cetera? Are you using AI at all in that area?
Not yet, not yet. I mean, the thing that's interesting to me is a lot has to get shook out, right? Like I hear, so AdsWizz works with really premium publishers. So if you look at the types of publishers that use our stack, many of which I'm sure you buy, like the New York Times and Univision and SiriusXM and Podcast One, so these really amazing publishers, you've got to figure out how this plays in to the path, right? Like not every celebrity is going to want their voice like mimicked in AI, right? They're going to want to protect that as a brand offering. So,
Hello, Scarlett Johansson.
so it's easier to start out, I think, on the small advertiser side, and then as an industry, figure this out as we go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the whole Scarlett Johansson and OpenAI conversation has brought that out into the light quite a bit.
Yeah.
Understand why you would be slowly walking into that carefully. All right, so I have a last question.
Yeah.
Again, we're at Cannes, so looking ahead, what are some of the data-driven predictions you can share about the future of audio?
Okay, so I want to talk about the future, but I want to step back for where we've been. Okay, because I want to talk about programmatic audio and just this evolution that we've been going in, where we are now in that. What I think kind of the next thing is around buying audio advertising from programmatic buys. So AdsWizz actually, so we're talking about the future, and I'll talk first about the past because AdsWizz actually launched the first programmatic solutions for audio 10 years ago, which actually was just shocking for me to look at. Like, anyway, but programmatic audio really started to scale maybe 6 years ago. And part of that was that Pandora itself, which is part of the company I'm in, became available to buyers programmatically. So this was really premium supply at scale in digital music streaming. And this was probably around 2018, right? And what was interesting is that took off in part because it was an in-app music streaming service. And so buyers already had platforms and tools and processes where they understood in-app buying, right? They understood bundle IDs and mobile ad IDs and all these data signals, right? Because this progression in programmatic audio mirrors like listener experiences, but it also links to those data signals that are out there.
Right.
Right? And so you then saw in the last couple of years, at least on the streaming side, programmatic buying for audio extending into other types of listening experiences, right? In car, in the home, right? Think of your Sonos speaker, right? Or your in-app experiences that you have in the car, right? I have a Tesla, right? And so really you start to extend like incremental reach for programmatic buying on the streaming side beyond just mobile, right? But this is like new signals that you have to figure out. What are those right signals that identify the car environments, that identify these home environments? Then, of course, you've had podcasts, right, that's come on, and you've really started to get really premium content available for the last 2 or 3 years, right? So New York Times became available, Podcast One was available, NPR, and then obviously SiriusXM Podcast Network became available. So you had all this great premium content that you could now transact programmatically. And that's really taken off, but it has new signals, right? And so we're really pushing the adoption of using GUIDs, which is an identifier for shows, and RSS feeds really gives you all the information about the show, including the transcript of the show, right? So this is a wealth of content signals. And I think this idea that that so much of the future, I think, really links to bringing up content, like surfacing that as a real signal for both audiences, but also brand safety and also genres and relevance, right? And matching with the creatives. And I think the next step, and this is what we'll say, like this is where we sort of are on this journey in my mind. The next step is one, scaling those podcast programmatic buys. You know, we talked about those brand safety tools, but now going into the next set of listener experiences, and we're seeing in-game audio now becoming a part of this, right? Where those gamers, I think audio experiences can sometimes be much less disruptive to then like a video interstitial ad that's traditionally been in gaming, and really enable brands at scale to reach these younger, harder to reach audiences.
And it's a natural extension of what they're already doing, right?
Exactly. So I feel like this is starting a little bit more on the direct side. We're starting with some on programmatic, but I think this is almost like, I think of that journey in programmatic around these listener experiences, the data signals they unlock, so we do the right thing in advertising and we match those experiences. And this is sort of where I think we are in the journey.
What an exciting time.
Yeah.
We're going to be here, and next year there's going to be hundreds more of editions and nominations
I
here,
hope not.
right?
I feel bad for the judges. It's too hard now.
What a fun gig, though.
Yeah, what
Well,
a fun job.
thanks for coming and hanging out with us here.
Yeah, so nice to see you. Thanks so much.